All right, today we are diving deep into a really powerful idea that's changing how we think about and fight global poverty. It's called the Multidimensional Poverty Index, and trust me, it's a total rethink of what it actually means to be poor. So let's get right into it.
Let me start by asking you a question. When I say the word poverty, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For most people, right, it's a number, some dollar amount. But is that really the full picture?
For the longest time, the whole conversation has been dominated by this idea of living on less than $1 or $2 a day. It's a simple number, easy to grasp. But does an empty wallet, on its own, tell you the whole story of someone's life? Not even close.
Because the truth is, poverty isn't just one thing. It's this tangled web of different challenges, all happening at once. And if we're serious about fighting it, we have to look way beyond just a person's income.
This analogy just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? I mean, a fever tells you you're sick, for sure, but it doesn't tell you why. Is it just a cold? Is it a serious infection? You'd never treat an illness without a proper diagnosis. Well, the same logic applies to poverty.
And that's exactly what a team of researchers at the University of Oxford and the UN Development Program set out to create. They wanted to build a tool that could give us that full diagnostic, one that looks at all the different symptoms of poverty at the same time.
And that tool is the Multidimensional Poverty Index, or the MPI. Think of it as switching from a fuzzy black and white photo of poverty to a super sharp high-definition one. So here's the key thing. The MPI isn't just about what you don't have. It's about the combination of challenges, or what they call deprivations, that are holding people back, all at the same time. It looks at 10 specific things across health, education, and living standards. Like, does your family have enough to eat? Are your kids in school? Do you have clean water, electricity, a decent toilet? It's about how these problems stack up. And what makes the MPI so brilliant are its two core parts. First up, you've got the head count. That's pretty simple. It's the percentage of the population that's considered poor by these new measures. It answers the question, how many people are poor? But then you've got intensity, and this answers a much deeper question. Just how poor are they? It actually measures the average number of deprivations a poor person is dealing with.
Okay, let's make this real. Take a look at Niger. This number, nearly 80%, that's the head count. It tells us that a massive chunk of the population is living in multidimensional poverty. That's the how many.
But this is where we get that deeper insight. This is the intensity. It means that the average poor person in Niger is deprived in almost 60% of all the possible ways we measure. This isn't just about how many people are poor. It's about the incredible depth of their struggle.
And the magic is, these two numbers get combined into one. You just multiply the head count, the share of poor people, by the intensity, how poor they are, and boom, you get a single, powerful MPI value that captures both the breadth and the depth of poverty in one number. Now, when you take this logic and you apply it across the entire globe, you start to see a completely new map of poverty, one with so much more detail and nuance than we've ever had before. And this table just shows you the huge gap. On one end of the spectrum, you have countries like Chad and Niger, where poverty is both widespread and incredibly intense. And then on the other end, you have countries like Serbia and Armenia, where this kind of acute, overlapping poverty is, well, it's almost been eliminated.
And if you zoom out to a regional view, the picture is just as dramatic. You can see the average for sub-Saharan Africa is way higher than in South Asia. And both of those are just worlds apart from what we see in Europe and Central Asia. The MPI lets us see these huge disparities with crystal clarity. Okay, but here's where the MLPI becomes more than just a really smart measurement. This is where it becomes a genuine diagnostic tool, a game changer. And honestly, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. The real power of the MPI is that we can break it down to see what's actually driving poverty in any given place. Remember that doctor? This is the moment they finally figure out the specific illness that's causing the fever. Just look at this comparison. It's fascinating. In Mexico, a huge driver of its MPI score, almost 80%, is poor nutrition. Schooling, it's barely a factor. Now look at Tajikistan. The story is totally different. Nutrition is a much smaller piece of the puzzle, and schooling is an even smaller one. This data basically screams at policymakers in Mexico, focus on nutrition. That's your biggest problem. So, we have this incredibly detailed, high-definition picture of poverty. What now? Why does having this data matter so much in the real world? Well, it completely transforms the fight against poverty from guesswork into a precise science. It means governments can create policies that target the specific problems a community is facing. They can use their limited resources much more effectively, putting money where the need is actually greatest, whether that's in health or education or sanitation. It is just a much, much smarter way to work.
And that really leaves us with a final big question. For decades, we've been trying to solve a problem we could only see in low resolution. Now, thanks to tools like the MPI, we can see poverty in high definition. We can see the faces, we can see the causes, we can see the connections. So the challenge for all of us now is, how do we use this incredible clarity to build smarter, faster, and more humane solutions?